The church is called to reach all generations, but it's difficult to reach someone if you don't know them. So we're going to try to understand Gen Z a little more, because I think Gen Z misunderstands some things about the church, and we're going to talk about that today's episode. All right, we've got Wes back. Wes Hamilton, of Cal Westis fame, the famous YouTuber who does all the Star Wars stuff.
That's right.
So go check him out on his page.
I thought about bringing a lightsaber to this interview, but I didn't think it was appropriate.
I bet you have one.
Hidden in this church. Yes, I do.
I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. All right, so let's just get this out of the way. Misunderstandings are not sinful. And just because somebody's missing a piece of information doesn't mean they're sinning. And a lot of times that's just generational differences. It's just us not understanding each other. Now, our generations are fairly close. So I think that there's probably more of a connection with us than, say, some of the older generations. And maybe you're tuning in and you're of an older generation and you're like, hey, I just want to understand. That's a good thing. What we're talking about is building bridges and digging a little bit into this younger generation as to what they might miss with the church. So I'm curious your thoughts on these and whether I'm right or wrong. So let's just roll with this. The institution of the church is still important. Do you even know when I'm talking about the institutionalization of the church, does that even ring a bell?
Explain it to me.
So, okay. Everyone wants to be part of a movement.
Yes.
Right? We want to create a movement. Well, you can't create a movement without the institution, because who's going to pay for it? My generation, and really Gen X too. Gen X is credit to Gen X for starting this, the kind of dismantling of the institutionalization of everything, because there's a lot of mistrust in the institution. So the institution of the U.S. government would be like, the actual processes and procedures, Congress, the three branches of government, all that stuff. And people have looked at it and said, well, it's broken. Yes. And there's a lot of things in the church that are broken. But I'll make the argument that the institution itself is still important. What say you?
I think it'd be pretty hard to do something without money or a backing. So I feel like, the institution of the church is still important.
Why might younger people miss that concept that the institution is important? Is it just the critique or the distrust that is out there?
I would go as far as saying there's a lot of people that are my age that are just not very reasonable or logical, and I don't think they think about things. So I do believe that, like, the church is the people, not the building.
Correct. Yeah, theologically, yes.
Yes. It's not like if you were just like, okay, we're breaking down the church because we don't need it. If you just went
we're tearing it down. We're tearing down the brick and mortar.
And said
that would go nowhere, by the way. Here, well, we could meet in our field, because we would have a field here on this 4.5 acres. But
okay, that's fair. That's
August, middle of August, 2:00 in the afternoon. Let's
like 95-degree weather.
Yes.
Let's meet up. That would do poorly, so poorly.
Yeah, I mean, even something as basic as air conditioning.
That's
here.
A necessity in this part
we
of
live,
the world.
Southwest Florida is where we are, in case you're tuning in and you don't know. And I know this is a huge topic that, in one little YouTube episode we can't dive into. But I think the younger generations often miss that. I think every younger generation misses that. Younger generations tend to be the change agents. More change happens in younger generations than in older generations. And the older you get, the more institutionalized you become. I mean, that's happened with me. When I was younger, I didn't have a retirement plan and I had health insurance through my parents, but I didn't think about any of those things. Mm-hmm. But the reason that I was able to do what I was able to do is because I had the backing of that stuff. And I think that Gen Z rightly critiques a lot of what's wrong in the church, but at the same time, I think that's something that not just your generation, but any younger generation will miss, is how important institutions really are. Because if they go away, like if this brick and mortar went away, we would still exist as West Bradenton, but it would be vastly different and much smaller. I would just say of the 400,000 churches that are in the United States, if all of them just did away with their buildings and tried to do church, the kingdom of God would be less. I don't think it would be helpful to the church for all of these churches just to do away with all of the institutionalization. There's something that I learned when I went to seminary that really was like maybe a bit refreshing for me, and kind of eye-opening, certainly. And I think this is something that younger people in general can miss is in this world of Christianity, we're in a Baptist church, so that's our tribe. There is a wide spectrum of theology, even in individual tribes. You talk Methodist, Baptist, Episcopalian, Anglican, Presbyterian. The list goes on and on and on. What is that, when I talk about that, what does that say to you? That I would say there's a wide spectrum of theology, even in like Baptist world.
Well, I mean, I think that makes sense. You know, if everybody thought the same, this would be a pretty boring place. It'd be a pretty boring interview if we just.
But what about the people that are wrong? What about the people that have wrong theology?
Well, there's an issue with that, but the question is, there is a wide spectrum of theology even in individual tribes. I can't disagree with that. People think differently.
Okay, no, I know that. I think that the younger generation tends to look at the church as a bit more monolithic, like as if Christian, conservative, evangelical, all the words, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and it's like as if they're all the same. But when you dig into even a specific tribe, even in our own church, I don't know that I would want to do this, but if you were to poll our church on any theological issue, you would, just West Bradenton, you'd probably get a wide variety of answers. Now, I do my very best as the lead pastor to teach, equip, and train so that people have a proper foundation. But I think even here you'd probably find a lot of differences. Okay, so I think this is something that Gen Z misunderstands about the church. One, institutions are good. They can be bad and rightly deserving of critique, but generally good. That there's a broader spectrum of theology out there than is often what is perceived. Thirdly, and this is kind of a pet peeve of mine a little bit, so I'm going to be the old man, get off my lawn sort of thing here with this episode. Churches have had a profound influence on history, and church history is not taught in the greater spheres of history now, whether it be World Civ or American history. Schools just don't teach the church's role in history, and man, it has been profound. Do you know what the Reformation is?
No.
See? Martin Luther, ever heard of him?
Yes.
John Calvin?
I've heard of him, but I don't know what he did.
Zwingli?
No, I've never heard of that. Bless you.
My point exactly. I mean, you think about things like the Civil Rights Movement and in our own nation's history, hugely important role. The American Revolution, pastors played such a key part of what happened during the American Revolution. So I'll just say get off my lawn right now and hang around with me enough, and we'll teach you a little bit of history. And it's not even really my field of expertise. I lack here. But I do think it's something that is often misunderstood about the church among younger generations, especially because I think our educational system is woefully inadequate when it comes to teaching not just church history, but religious history in general. All right, so what Gen Z misunderstands about the church, many pastors care about you even if they disagree with you. What say you?
I do agree with that. I've never had a bad experience with a pastor, but I think that just attests to that statement as a whole. Our youth pastor here, Devon White, is up there with like some of the best men I've ever met.
He's pretty rocking.
I feel that a lot from him. Our previous youth pastors also, you know, I still feel that way even though they aren't at our church anymore. He cares, I think.
Absolutely.
You care.
I do, and I think even maybe the vast majority of pastors do. And I'm very grateful that you've had a good experience with pastors. Not everyone in your generation has, because there have been frankly, some horrible abuses of power in ministry. There have been horrible abuses of power in just about any place. It shouldn't happen in the church. The church should be the safest place for people. Agreed. When it comes to, you know, working out your life and all the things in your life. And it really pains me to hear about pastors who abuse their authority or do terrible things, have moral failures. And you're right, West Bradenton has had a pretty, you know, way back even in our history, years and decades back, you know, really good string of pastors who love the people. But that's what I'll just say. If you're tuning into this and you're curious about Gen Z and you want to hear more, I'll just say, as a pastor, most of us, if not the vast majority of us, do care, even if we disagree. In fact, I'll tell my church often, you know, I preach and, you know, I'll disagree with myself from 20 years prior, right? I've been doing this almost 20 years, and I'll go back and look at my old sermon notes, and I'm like, oh man, these are awful.
He says that just about every week.
I know. I don't expect my church to agree with everything that I say, because I won't agree with me in the future. I'll look back and I'll say, I got that one wrong. We do care, and even if there are some differences, most of us are all right with that, and we'll work through it. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Wes.
Welcome.
And we want you to go check out our 30-day membership. So we're offering it free. Go to churchanswers.com/free. Use the link there, and you can, down below, and you can go check out our free trial. It's a great community of people, church leaders, asking questions of each other, interacting. We've got experts in our forum. We'd love to help you. You can ask a question 24/7. We are available to you. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.